you mentioned politics, of course.
Yes.
Both the politics that your grandfather and father were involved in, and your mother involved in politics. And when do you mark your own entry into political life? What do you mark it by?
There I was in Diamondville, planting my grass and roses. When I picked up the newspaper one afternoon, it was the evening news. Mm-hmm. And there was a picture of these 4 women, Helen Camps, Cynthia Allen, Cathy Allum, and I don't remember who the 4th one was. And the caption under the picture, which was a Housewives Association picture, named these women by their husbands' names. I said, no, I am going to find these women. So I went to the first meeting that I found and asked them, what were they about? What did they do? Because that's where I met Faith Wiltshire and the rest of them. Annette Wiltshire, and there are a lot of people like that. And I think there was a methodology that we used, which I really think we should share with other people, about organizing and get advocacy and lobbying. So for example, if there was an issue that we had to deal with, first we got the information. Secondly, you got a meeting with the appropriate persons. Thirdly, if there are going to be 4 of them, 5 of us would go. We would always outnumber them. And the general approach was, we're not leaving. Here's the information. This is our position. We'd like to hear yours, but we're not leaving until we get a resolution, because the children and the husband and the food and thing has been taken care of. We just here until that happens. I have found that methodology for approaching the problems, and which we've solved a lot of them, about the rice that was not good, and the potatoes that were rotting, and the conditions in the market, and the things about children in schools, school books. All of those things we could approach from that perspective. Get the information, find the right people, ensure that they get your message, that you understand where they're coming from. But we're not leaving.
You're not leaving. You actually ran as an independent candidate yourself.
Yes, that's very interesting. Housewives Association thought women had to become involved in politics. And in fact, in 1976, which the year was, 5 Housewives Association women ran contested elections in 4 parties, and myself as an independent in East Port of Spain, because all the people in East Port of Spain by now knew. Very interesting. One, we decided, just as now, one of the biggest issues that women had running for politics was money. So we actually created a fund that would be allocated to the women, regardless of which party they were in, and myself, to help them with their campaign funding. Of course, interestingly again, this contribution was coming from our members and their supporters. There were some members who left on the basis that they did not want to be either to be involved in politics or to be supporting party candidates. There was no way we could distribute the money that we collected without. But for me, I thought being an independent candidate in Port of Spain East was a very interesting proposition, because I was going up against Cathy Joseph. No, that was not local government. This was national elections. I was going up against Cathy Joseph and the PNM, and we estimated that if we got 6,000 votes, we could beat the PNM in Port of Spain. And for me, that was a very interesting proposition. But it required that we have one candidate. Eventually, in spite of my best negotiations, we still had 4 candidates running against Cathy Joseph, which was the reason why we didn't beat the PNM in Port of Spain East.
Yes.
You know? So all of that coalition thinking, I'm talking about 1976. I had reason when the NER came into power to say, you'll remember in 1976 when I came and I said, if we put one candidate up against the PNM in Port of Spain, we could beat them. Well, now I'm very glad that you all have finally arrived at that destination. Of course, I subsequently ran as a local government candidate in Port of Spain East again as well, but as an NER candidate, because there's the whole story about how I got to the NER. I had never joined any party up to 1976. My politics was not partisan.
Now, what brought you to the notion that you should not just yourself be involved in politics and to try to make a difference, but that more women should do so?
I think the experience of Housewives Association was that, because we had concrete evidence of how we could affect the price of rice, price of flour, the conditions under which people bought appliances, we created the Standards Bureau. So we knew that people organized with information, with advocacy and lobbying skills could make a difference, and that those people clearly were women, and we just went ahead from there. We didn't have any role models of women, or not very many, because we'd had Audrey Jeffords and we'd had some other women before. We had some P&M women, like Muriel, who had taken on the challenge of the men in the parties, and we knew that if they had sufficient power themselves inside of the party, and which again is the Kamala story, because women couldn't reach the destination regarding power except they took charge of the parties.